You've felt it before, haven't you? That familiar knot in your stomach when you know you're about to encounter that person. The one who drains your energy, questions your motives, or simply seems determined to make your day more difficult. You brace yourself, prepare your arguments, perhaps even rehearse a silent defense. But despite your best efforts, their words or actions often pierce through, leaving you frustrated, angry, or simply exhausted. It's a universal human experience, this struggle with difficult people. We expend immense emotional and mental resources trying to navigate these interactions, often feeling like a pawn in a game we never chose to play, wishing for an escape from the relentless friction. We internalize their negativity, allowing their mood to dictate our own, their opinions to cloud our judgment, and their perceived slights to fester within us long after the interaction has ended. This constant vigilance, this emotional armoring takes a profound toll, diminishing our capacity for joy, creativity, and genuine connection with others. But what if there was a different way? A profound ancient wisdom that doesn't just offer coping mechanisms, but provides a complete transformation in how you perceive and react to these individuals. The Stoics understood that the external world, including the behavior of others, is largely beyond our control. This fundamental insight is the bedrock of their philosophy, differentiating it from fleeting self-help trends. They did not promise a world free of challenges or difficult people. Instead, their true genius lay in showing us how to reclaim our inner peace, no matter the provocation, no matter the storm raging outside. They taught that true freedom comes not from altering the world, but from mastering one's own inner responses to it. Today, we delve into the core of that wisdom, a forgotten secret, a single word: remember. It's not just a word, it's a powerful mental framework that will inoculate you against the toxicity of others, turning moments of potential frustration into opportunities for profound self-mastery. It is a key that unlocks an internal sanctuary, unassailable by external forces. By the end of this journey, you will not only be equipped to handle difficult people with unshakable calm, but you will also understand the deeper architecture of human behavior, transforming your very experience of life from one of reactive struggle to proactive tranquility and profound personal power. The first and perhaps most insidious problem with difficult people is not the external conflict they create, but the hidden internal erosion they cause long before any direct interaction. Most people are completely unaware of this silent toll, the subtle but pervasive way their peace is undermined from within. You see, the moment you identify someone as difficult, you begin to allow them to live rent-free in your mind. This is an act of unconscious surrender, a preemptive ceding of your mental territory. You start anticipating their negativity, rehearsing potential arguments, and mentally bracing for their inevitable provocations. This isn't just a brief thought. It can become a persistent undercurrent of anxiety, a low hum of dread that runs beneath your daily activities, contaminating your peace even when they are nowhere near. It's as if you have invited a disruptive guest into your most private space, your mind, and given them permission to rearrange your furniture, disturb your quiet, and dictate your mood. This internal preoccupation is a form of self-sabotage, an act of borrowed trouble, as Seneca might describe it, where you suffer the misfortune not once, but repeatedly in anticipation. This mental preoccupation means that long before a difficult word is uttered, or a challenging situation arises, you have already surrendered a portion of your inner tranquility. Your emotional state is no longer solely your own, it's held hostage by the mere idea of another person. The Stoics recognized this subtle theft of peace as a critical vulnerability. They understood that our emotional landscape is often dictated not by reality itself, but by our anticipation of reality, by our judgments and interpretations of what might happen. When you dread an encounter, you are allowing that individual to disturb your peace in the present moment, even if the actual future interaction never materializes or turns out to be far less challenging than you imagined. You are essentially giving them control over your emotional state, not just during the direct interaction, but moments, hours, or even days beforehand. This hidden problem means your peace is being hijacked by an internal narrative, by judgments and predictions about others, rather than by actual events. You are losing the battle on the battlefield of your own mind, long before any external engagement. This constant state of alert, This psychological burden consumes precious mental and emotional energy that could be better spent on productive work, personal growth, or cultivating genuine joy. It leads to a state of chronic stress and diminished overall well-being, all self-inflicted through the unwitting act of giving power to external circumstances and the mere specter of another's potential behavior. This internal struggle, this preemptive surrender of calm, is the first battle you must win to truly master your interactions with difficult people. To reclaim your inner citadel, you must first secure its gates from the enemy within, your own runaway thoughts and unexamined assumptions. Most people spend their lives reacting. Few learn the power of remaining calm, silent, and in control. If something in today's message resonated deeply with you, it's because a stronger version of yourself is trying to emerge. Thousands have already discovered the principles inside the silent power, and many say they wish they had learned them years earlier. Plus 5 exclusive bonuses. The silent power reveals timeless Stoic lessons for mastering emotions, building unshakable confidence, commanding respect without speaking, and developing the mental strength that cannot be broken by criticism, rejection, or adversity. The question is simple: will you continue reacting to life, or start mastering it? Get instant access through the first pinned comment and begin your journey toward true self-mastery today. Building on the hidden problem of internal preoccupation, we uncover a common mistake that keeps nearly everyone stuck in a cycle of frustration. The desperate, often compulsive, attempt to change, fix, or logically persuade the difficult person. When someone acts in a way we perceive as unreasonable, irrational, unfair, or simply wrong, our natural inclination is to engage. We believe that if only they understood our perspective, if only they saw the flaw in their logic, or if only we could present a compelling enough argument, they would change their behavior, come to their senses, and align with our rational view. We pour our energy, our time, and our emotional reserves into explanations, justifications, counter-arguments, and appeals to reason, hoping to somehow fix their flawed thinking or character. We are convinced that if they just heard our truth, they would abandon their perceived error. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of human nature, and critically, a direct violation of the Stoic dichotomy of control. You see, the behavior, opinions, beliefs, character, and even the understanding of another person are external factors. They are emphatically not up to us. Epictetus, the former slave who became a powerful Stoic teacher, constantly hammered home this point. Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. Up to us are opinion, impulse, desire, aversion, in a word, whatever are our own actions. Not up to us are body, property, reputation, command, in a word, whatever are not our own actions. The behavior of others falls squarely into the not up to us category. Seneca, another titan of Stoic thought, consistently reminded his students that we waste countless hours and immense emotional energy striving to control what is fundamentally uncontrollable. When you try to change a difficult person, you are essentially attempting to exert control over something outside your sphere of influence, something that belongs wholly to another's will and judgment. This endeavor is not only futile, it's also the primary source of your continued frustration, anger, and disappointment. The more you push, the more they often resist, sometimes out of stubbornness, sometimes out of a perceived threat to their autonomy. The more you explain, the more entrenched they become in their position, solidifying their self-justifications. You are attempting to alter an external reality through internal effort, a battle that is unwinnable by definition, akin to trying to change the weather with your thoughts. The mistake is in believing that our logic, our sincerity, our well-intentioned efforts, or even the sheer force of our conviction can penetrate their pre-existing beliefs, biases, emotional states, or deeply ingrained habits. People rarely change because someone else tells them to, or because they've been won over in an argument. Such external pressure often solidifies their resolve to remain as they are. They change, if at all, through their own internal processes, their own experiences, their own desire for growth, or their own encounters with the consequences of their actions. To truly change, a person must first desire to change, and that desire cannot be imposed from the outside. By constantly trying to fix them, you are not only setting yourself up for inevitable disappointment and emotional exhaustion, but you are also neglecting the only thing you can control, your own response, your own perspective, your own actions, and your own inner state. You are diverting precious resources from the fertile ground of self-mastery to the barren desert of external manipulation. This common mistake keeps you locked in a reactive loop, continually investing in a losing game rather than shifting your focus to the only territory where true victory can be found within yourself. Understanding this is the crucial step towards detaching from the drama, breaking free from the illusion of external control, and reclaiming your genuine power. It is an act of profound liberation to truly internalize that their behavior is their business and your reaction is yours. Having recognized the futility of trying to change others and the insidious nature of preemptive internal distress, we now turn to a powerful, yet rarely practiced, Stoic habit that acts as a profound mental inoculant. This is the very essence of the remember secret embedded in our title. A principle famously articulated by Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations. Imagine starting your day or preparing for an interaction by consciously reminding yourself of the common imperfections of humanity, acknowledging that these are integral aspects of the human condition, as natural as the weather. Marcus Aurelius did this himself, writing, "Begin the morning by saying to yourself, I shall meet with the busybody, the ungrateful, the arrogant, the deceitful, the envious, the unsocial. All these things happen to them by reason of their ignorance of what is good and evil." This isn't cynicism, nor is it a pessimistic resignation. It's profound realism, a form of premeditation or premeditatio malorum, directed not at your own potential misfortunes, but at the predictable imperfections of others. The habit is to remember that human beings, by their very nature, are prone to flaws. They will be ungrateful, not because they target you specifically, but because ingratitude is a widespread human tendency, often stemming from a misapprehension of true value or a sense of entitlement. They will be arrogant, not because they despise you, but because arrogance is a common defense mechanism, a compensation for insecurity, or a deeply ingrained character trait born from false beliefs about their own superiority. They will be deceitful not because they are inherently evil in a cosmic sense, but because deceit can stem from fear, self-interest, weakness, or a perceived necessity to protect themselves or what they value, however misguidedly. By consistently doing this, you perform a powerful mental maneuver. You strip their future actions of their power to surprise, offend, and disturb you. You are not caught off guard, and thus your emotional equilibrium remains undisturbed. Think of it as preparing your immune system. When you anticipate these behaviors, when you remember that these characteristics are part and parcel of the human condition, shared across all cultures and times, you build a psychological defense. Their actions no longer feel like personal attacks, unexpected betrayals, or novel injustices. Instead, they become predictable manifestations of universal human frailty, expressions of what the Stoics would call ignorance of what is good and evil. You are not condoning their behavior, nor are you excusing it in a moral sense. You are simply acknowledging a profound truth about the world and its inhabitants, a truth that prevents you from being emotionally blindsided. This habit allows you to greet their inevitable flaws, not with shock, anger, or despair, but with a detached understanding, perhaps even a measure of pity for their misguidedness. You are mentally equipped, forewarned, and thus forearmed against the disruption that unexpected negative behavior typically brings. This readiness transforms your internal response from reactive frustration to calm acknowledgement, creating an immediate shield for your peace of mind. It allows you to move from feeling victimized by others' actions to feeling empowered by your own insight, simply by shifting your perspective on the source and nature of their actions. You recognize that they are not acting against you, but from their own internal state, from their own errors of judgment. This profound habit of preempting human imperfections works by leveraging a crucial psychological mechanism, the power of violated expectations. Our emotional responses are not direct, unmediated reactions to external events. They are fundamentally shaped by the gap between what we expected to happen and what actually happens. When our expectations are violated, when someone behaves contrary to how we believe they should behave or how we wish they would behave, we experience strong negative emotions, anger, frustration, disappointment, irritation, even resentment. We hold an internal model of how the world, and especially other people, ought to operate. This model is often built on idealism, personal preference, and our own moral codes. When reality deviates from this carefully constructed model, our minds rebel, triggering a cascade of emotional distress. We feel that an injustice has occurred, not necessarily in fact, but in the violation of our internal order. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, understood this deeply when he famously said, "It is not things themselves that disturb men, but their judgments about these things." In the context of difficult people, our judgment that someone should be polite, should be rational, should be fair, should understand our point of view, or should act with integrity, sets us up for emotional distress. These shoulds are the expectations we cling to. When they inevitably fall short of these idealized expectations, our internal judgment of their wrongness or unreasonableness becomes the true source of our suffering. The event itself, the rude word, the dishonest act, is neutral. It is our mental superstructure of expectation and judgment built around that event that generates our pain. We impose our own moral and rational framework onto the external world and then suffer when the world doesn't conform. By consciously adopting Marcus Aurelius' habit of remembering the common human flaws, you are not simply predicting bad behavior. You are actively recalibrating your expectations. You are shifting from an idealized, utopian view of human interaction to a more realistic, empirically informed one. Instead of expecting everyone to be consistently virtuous, rational, and considerate, you learn to expect a certain percentage of ingratitude, arrogance, deceit, and selfishness as an inherent feature of the human landscape. When these behaviors then manifest, they don't violate your expectations, they confirm them. There is no gap between expectation and reality, no jarring surprise, and therefore significantly less emotional disturbance. This psychological mechanism allows you to maintain your equanimity because you've prepared your mind for the reality of human imperfection rather than clinging to a fragile utopian ideal. You are not surprised by the rain when you knew it was going to storm, and thus you can navigate it with a calm, prepared mind, having brought your umbrella. You have effectively closed the gap between what is and what should be by accepting what is as a possibility, thereby dissolving the primary catalyst for emotional unrest. This is not lowering your standards for ethical behavior, but rather raising your resilience to the often chaotic and unpredictable ethical landscape of others. Most people spend their lives reacting. Few learn the power of remaining calm, silent, and in control. If something in today's message resonated deeply with you, it's because a stronger version of yourself is trying to emerge. Thousands have already discovered the principles inside the silent power, and many say they wish they had learned them years earlier. Plus 5 exclusive bonuses. The silent power reveals timeless Stoic lessons for mastering emotions, building unshakable confidence, commanding respect without speaking, and developing the mental strength that cannot be broken by criticism, rejection, or adversity. The question is simple: will you continue reacting to life, or start mastering it? Get instant access through the first pinned comment and begin your journey toward true self-mastery today. To truly grasp the power of this practice, let us look to Marcus Aurelius himself, not just as a philosopher in an ivory tower, but as an emperor dealing with the ultimate difficult people, those who sought to undermine his rule, plot against him, betray his trust, or simply neglected their duties in the vast, turbulent Roman Empire. Imagine the daily torrent of reports, accusations, political maneuvering, and moral failings he faced. He wasn't isolated in a tranquil villa, contemplating abstract virtues. He governed an empire plagued by continuous wars on its borders, devastating famines, deadly plagues, and internal betrayals, all while managing a vast bureaucracy of fallible human beings. Yet, he is remembered as the philosopher king, a paragon of wisdom, calm leadership, and unwavering virtue. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations wasn't a philosophical treatise meant for public consumption. It was his private journal, his spiritual exercises, a personal training manual for his soul. His entry in Book 2, Chapter 1, where he lists the types of difficult people he expects to encounter, wasn't just an abstract thought. It was his daily mental preparation for the very real and immediate challenges of governing. He was effectively saying to himself, "Today, I will meet with officials who prioritize their own gain over the empire's welfare, exhibiting greed and self-interest. I will encounter advisors who offer biased counsel, motivated by fear or ambition. I will face generals who are vainglorious, seeking personal glory at the cost of strategic wisdom, and citizens who are ungrateful for the peace and prosperity I strive to provide, quick to complain and slow to appreciate. His purpose was not to generate resentment, but to steel himself against surprise and offense. He understood that these human flaws were part of the fabric of the world he was tasked to lead, and to ignore them was to be perpetually vulnerable. He didn't just expect these behaviors, he integrated them into his understanding of reality, recognizing them as manifestations of a shared human condition rather than personal affronts. This allowed him to meet betrayal not with shock and rage, but with a sober assessment of its origins and consequences. He could respond to arrogance not with personal offense, but with strategic understanding of the individual's psychology. His calm was not born of ignorance of human depravity, but from a profound acceptance of it, seen through the lens of Stoic principles. When Avidius Cassius, one of his most trusted generals, rebelled and declared himself emperor, Marcus Aurelius's reaction was not one of furious indignation but of sorrow, and then measured, principled action. He lamented the necessity of war and even offered to forgive Cassius's conspirators before they could be punished, demonstrating a remarkable absence of personal rancor, a clear distinction between the person and the crime. His response was guided instead by duty, reason, and philosophical principle, aiming for clemency where possible, even towards those who sought to overthrow him. He recognized that Cassius's ambition was a predictable human flaw, a common error of judgment regarding what constitutes the true good, not a unique affront to him personally. This story exemplifies how remembering the common flaws of humanity transformed potential emotional chaos into an opportunity for demonstrating unparalleled virtue, even amidst profound crisis. It allowed him to act not from passion, which often leads to impulsive and regrettable decisions, but from a place of deep wisdom, equanimity, and an unshakable commitment to justice. He understood that the irrationality of others did not necessitate the sacrifice of his own rationality or virtue. So how do we take these insights from philosophical principle to daily practice? The practical exercise is simple, yet profoundly transformative. It's called the observer's stance. When you find yourself in the presence of a difficult person, or when you feel the familiar surge of frustration, anger, or irritation beginning to rise within you, consciously shift your internal position from that of a participant, a target, or a victim to that of an objective, detached observer. Instead of allowing your emotional brain to scream, "Why are they doing this to me? How dare they?" consciously ask yourself, what human weakness is on display here? What larger pattern does this reveal about human nature? What misguided belief or unvirtuous passion might be driving this behavior? This exercise requires a deliberate act of mental detachment, a conscious step back from the immediate emotional current. Imagine you're a scientist studying a peculiar specimen, an anthropologist observing a cultural ritual, or a director watching actors perform a play. The difficult person's behavior, no matter how provocative, how cutting, or how unfair, becomes an object of study, not a personal attack. If someone is being arrogant, observe the arrogance. Where does it stem from? Is it insecurity, a desperate need for validation, a brittle ego? If someone is being deceitful, note the deceit. What fear, desire for gain, or mistaken notion of advantage might be driving it? You are not condoning the behavior, nor are you excusing it morally. You are simply creating a critical distance from it, allowing your rational mind to engage rather than your reactive emotions. You become an investigator of human psychology, seeking to understand the mechanics of their flaw rather than a recipient of its impact. For example, if a colleague is aggressively critical of your work in a public meeting, instead of feeling hurt, defensive, or personally attacked, step back. Observe the aggression. What is the subtext? Is it envy for your accomplishments? Is it their own fear of failure projected onto you, making them lash out preemptively? Is it simply a clumsy, unskillful attempt to assert dominance or gain perceived status? By observing, you depersonalize the situation. Their words are no longer arrows aimed directly at your heart. They are merely data points in the complex, often messy, tapestry of human behavior. This practice allows you to respond with greater clarity and significantly less emotional charge. You can choose to address the content of their criticism if it's valid, or you can simply acknowledge their display of a common human weakness without letting it disturb your inner peace or derail your own rational process. The observer stance is your immediate, on-the-spot application of the Stoic principles. It reclaims your agency by redirecting your focus from their actions to your interpretation, empowering you to choose your response rather than merely reacting. It builds a protective shield around your inner citadel, allowing you to remain serene and composed no matter the external turmoil. We have explored the hidden internal erosion caused by difficult people, the futility of trying to change them, the powerful habit of remembering human imperfection, the psychological mechanism of violated expectations, and seen these principles in action through Marcus Aurelius's extraordinary example. Now it's time for the ultimate transformation, the profound shift in how you fundamentally define yourself in relation to others, an identity shift. You are no longer someone who is merely coping with difficult people or someone who is frequently bothered by them, perpetually on the defensive. You become the individual who understands them, who is fundamentally unshakable in their presence, and who uses every single encounter, no matter how challenging, as an opportunity for profound self-mastery and the cultivation of virtue. This is the final awakening, the realization that true power lies not in controlling the external world, but in absolute sovereignty over your internal one. The challenges posed by difficult people cease to be external threats to your peace, and instead become internal exercises for your virtue. They are not obstacles, but rather sparring partners that strengthen your character. When you encounter ingratitude, you practice patience, reminding yourself that true generosity is its own reward, independent of appreciation. When you face arrogance, you cultivate humility, seeing their overestimation of self as a warning against your own potential for pride. When confronted with deceit, you reinforce your own integrity, choosing truthfulness even when it's inconvenient. When met with rudeness, you practice courtesy, knowing your character is defined by your actions, not theirs. Your identity transforms from a victim of circumstance into an active practitioner of Stoic wisdom, an architect of your own emotional landscape, shaping it deliberately rather than letting it be sculpted by the random winds of others' moods. You realize that your peace, your eudaimonia flourishing, is not dependent on others' behavior, but on your unwavering commitment to your own principles, your own rational choice, and your own internal virtue. You become an unmoved mover in your emotional world, a beacon of calm amidst the storms of human interaction, an island of tranquility in a sea of chaos. This profound shift means you are no longer defined by the external drama, by the petty grievances or the grand betrayals. You are defined by your inner strength, your unwavering reason, and your cultivated tranquility. You cease reacting to life and begin mastering it, one difficult interaction at a time, one practice of patience, one exercise of empathy, one moment of calm observation after another. The ultimate secret is not just remembering others' flaws, but remembering your own power to choose your response, your own inherent capacity for virtue, your own unbreakable citadel of character. This isn't a passive acceptance of negativity. It's an active assertion of your own sovereignty over your inner world, a declaration of independence from external control. You become the person who is not easily provoked, who commands respect not through aggression or reactive anger, but through an almost impenetrable calm, a profound inner stillness that signals an unshakable self-possession. This is the hallmark of true self-mastery, a life lived on your terms, regardless of the turbulent currents of others' actions, a life in full agreement with your highest rational self, living in harmony with nature itself. What is one specific Stoic principle you will remember and apply the next time you encounter a difficult person? Share your commitment in the comments below. Your reflections inspire us all to deepen our practice. And if this journey resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe for more profound Stoic insights, and join our growing community dedicated to self-mastery. Most people spend their lives reacting. Few learn the power of remaining calm, silent, and in control. If something in today's message resonated deeply with you, it's because a stronger version of yourself is trying to emerge. Thousands have already discovered the principles inside the silent power, and many say they wish they had learned them years earlier. Plus 5 exclusive bonuses. The Silent Power reveals timeless Stoic lessons for mastering emotions, building unshakable confidence, commanding respect without speaking, and developing the mental strength that cannot be broken by criticism, rejection, or adversity. The question is simple: will you continue reacting to life, or start mastering it? Get instant access through the first pinned comment and begin your journey toward true self-mastery today.